get going here, and so without further ado, Mayor Bruce Harrell.
All right. That was Markham McIntyre, Director of the Office of Economic Development, and I don't think he needed notes for that introduction, but I'm so excited to work with Markham, and he's going to just lay it low. You're actually going to hear from Markham on a granular level on what we're going to talk about this afternoon. First of all, thank all of you for being here. You're all busy people, but the success of this city, indeed this region, depends on some of the decisions our administration makes, but also our collective commitment. So we're going to hear from some speakers here, and we're going to lay out part of a game plan. And let me gather my notes here, because many of you didn't just meet me and know I sometimes riff. And I want to make sure I capture all of our salient points. So first of all, I want to thank Christina, who's standing with me now, Christina Capelong, for welcoming us here in this beautiful facility. Katrina, Kasama Pioneer Square. So Kasama Pioneer Square, where we're standing, sort of represents what we're trying to do here. It's one of our newest Seattle restored locations where we've come together and looked at formerly vacant areas and how can we activate, but more importantly than just activation, how can we create dialogue? How can we listen to each other, talk to each other, discuss new ideas? How can we criticize the mayor's department? No, let's not do that. But all subjects are fair to talk about, because in those difficult discussions that are happening right here and throughout the city, we will get better. So this is sort of, we're very intentional on why we wanted to be here. Their mission, and I'll just read this, is to serve and amplify BIPOC voices, empower communities, and inspire the next generation by sharing their stories and sharing it through food, music, and art. This is a phenomenal example of the businesses that will fill downtown, as we'll talk about a little more today. Again, you'll also hear from our Economic Development Director, Markham McIntyre, and you'll hear Councilmember Sara Nelson, and she's going to, and we all know she's a champion for small businesses. And so, see, Councilmember Nelson astutely planted a few seeds in the audience. You got to do what you have to do. I'm just joking. And so I will introduce her as well. And then we'll hear from some final speakers, Jessica I practice this Ghyvoronsky. Am I close enough? Am I in the ballpark? Okay. Jessica and Erika Vazquez, they own the River, and I think many of you are watching what River's doing. They opened up in October of 2022, and they're a vintage clothing curator and stylist, and Jessica's a fine artist whose work focuses on intersectionality. So they're in that creative space that we need so desperately in our city. So, having said that, let me talk a little bit about some ideas that I broached in my State of the City address. I talked about we're trying to design what a new downtown will look like, and I said terms like, if we don't get this right downtown, not to the exclusion of other neighborhoods, other business districts, but I recognized during those remarks that this is sort of the epicenter of a lot of commerce activity, a lot of residents down here, a lot of action down here, and that we wanted to get it right. And if we failed in our charter responsibilities downtown, everything else would fall flat. I think the feedback that we get, quite frankly, is that people are seeing progress as we've moved. I referred to it in my State of the City address as the kind of space needle thinking and long-term transformational enhancements that we wanted to see. We could redefine what our downtown could be. This part of our downtown activation plan, and as Markham gets into in a little detail, I need to make something very clear. This summer, right around the June timeframe, you're going to see a more comprehensive plan. And you're going to see between now and leading up to June a few announcements on components of it. And the reason why we're going about it that way is, number one, is we have to first of all, we have to know what we could pay for. We have to look at our finance projections. We also have to work with stakeholders as we build a collective vision. We work with Councilmember Nelson's City Council on legislation And so it's not the kind of activity. If it is going to be sustainable and big box thinking, out of the box thinking, creative thinking, it can't be done like that. And under my administration, we will not do it like that because that may not be sustainable. Yes, we want short-term victories, yes, but we also want sustainable change for the people who matter most in this city. So you're going to hear between now and this summer, sometime in June, more to come. But this morning, this afternoon, we want to share some immediate actions that we're taking. I hope that many of you have seen through our effective use of constitutional policing and our police officers to work on 3rd Avenue and the Pike Pine Corridor in Little Saigon and Belltown that you've already seen progress. Are we happy and satisfied with everything we're doing? Of course not. But you're seeing a trajectory that we are not afraid to take action, and we lead with people first, and we lead on our values of empathy and compassion. You've seen our unified care team helping people move indoors and significantly reduce tents on downtown sidewalks. You see that. And we shifted under my last budget proposal a neighborhood model, so it's the actual workers doing the work on the ground. And I had breakfast with them last week. We talked about teamwork, what it means to be on the floor, so to speak, doing the work, and how to keep them inspired and how they can know their own neighborhoods when they're working, doing this kind of work. You've seen the outreach that the King County Regional Homelessness Authority's Partnership for Zero reached, the 3rd Avenue Project, and We Deliver Care. Members right here doing this kind of work. You see and read about what they are doing. The work they're doing just goes beyond picking up a paycheck. They're putting their hearts into this work, and people are still seeing the progress that we are making. Again, I know Lisa Dugard's here and Sean Blackwell from the PDA, Dominic Davis and family, Tabitha Davis, Stephanie Wheeler-Smith, Brandy Flood, Michael Kowalski, I slaughtered that one, and Jared Rendon. And I'm just calling out a few names that I had asked my staff. I said, give me a few names, and I know almost all of them. I said, give me a few names I could give them some shout-outs. And I said, they'll give me some grace if I messed up the pronunciation. Yes. And you saw the work down at the Pike Pine Corridor streetscape enhancements, where we're transitioning downtown intersections on the in that particular area, and we're trying to improve walkability and pedestrian safety. You've seen through our utilities improve litter pickup and our comprehensive graffiti plan that we're trying to do. All of these components, quite frankly, I believe that the city are working with the right values and the right commitment, with the right energy level to get our city where it needs to be. So you'll hear on our downtown activation plan, DAP. I like that word, DAP. You'll hear Markham lead us into a little more detail on specifically what that entails. I want to shift a little bit to the executive order that I'm issuing today. We said from the beginning that if our downtown doesn't feel safe, and it isn't safe, we will fail as a city. I just believe that. And the fentanyl crisis on our streets is causing death and disorder. I can't mince words there. We have an obligation to do more from those suffering from substance abuse disorder for all of our neighbors. Fentanyl crisis is just playing out on our streets, and we see it every single day. It's playing out in our neighborhoods. We all are affected by this. There's no one that goes affected. Our executive order cites many statistics. 589 overdose deaths in Seattle in 2022, with the majority attributed to fentanyl and methamphetamines, compared to only 342 in 2021, but even 342 was alarming. That was an increase of 72%. Overdose is the leading cause of unintentional fatal injury in King County. And it's our most vulnerable who are impacted, disproportionately living unsheltered. Quite frankly, this is tragic. I'm reading some material in the Seattle Times right now, and when I read these statistics and I read what we're seeing, many of you, it may be academic. I'm reading about families that I grew up with. I'm reading about families that whose parents that I know, And so as mayor, I have a sense of urgency that I don't know what other people feel. I don't compare myself in that sense. I just know that this is real work, that I'm put in this position for a reason, and one of those reasons to address this crisis. And it doesn't start with me pointing the finger at anyone failing in their job. I'm in this together. These numbers are staggering of what's coming into our city, okay? And yeah, point the finger at me if you like, but I have a great team. I consider everyone in this room part of our team, trying to get this work done. So, our strategy, in essence, is a two-pronged effort. Yes, a law enforcement approach to disrupt the distribution and sale of synthetic drugs and arrest and hold accountable narcotics traffickers. And I'll read that again. I'm not shy to read it. A law enforcement approach to disrupt the distribution and sale of synthetic drugs and arrest and hold accountable narcotics traffickers. Okay? And that's coupled with and part of an evidence-based public health approach to support people struggling with addiction to these dangerous substances. And people want to take part of one prong and have it calibrate or outweigh the other prong. That is not what we're talking about. So part of our executive order recognized this balance. So part of that balance is to direct, that I will be doing through this executive order, directing the Seattle Police Department, and we're joined by the Fire Chief, Harold Scoggins, and the Police Chief, Adrian Diaz, right here. I'm directing the Seattle Police Department to prioritize efforts to disrupt the distribution and sale of narcotics in concert with other law enforcement partners. That would further our collaboration with the City Attorney's Office, the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the U.S. Attorney, the DEA, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security. So we will be convening a working task force to really figure out how that works from a coordinated effort. That's part of it. If you are harming our communities by this activity, we have to coordinate our efforts in making sure that harm stops, and that's dealing with the selling and trafficking of these deadly drugs. We have to hold those people accountable. So our officers are committed to this work as our partners. Last Friday, for example, there was a shooting near 2nd and Pike. Many of you read about that. Our officers quickly made an arrest and found a gun and suspected fentanyl, and the King County prosecutors were in court Saturday morning. That's the kind of machine that we're trying to establish, working collaboratively with our other partners. And so we're going to, through our task force, fine-tune our tactical strategies in this regard. Now, for those who are suffering from substance use issues, it is crystal clear we need innovative programs to respond to overdoses, and we need to connect them with proven treatment and recovery services. I sort of look at this crisis as a before, during, and after approach. And so our executive order is intended to address it from that standpoint. So looking at what happens before, we are piloting a research-based drug abatement program known as contingency management in an effort to encourage individuals with substance use disorders to accept treatment services by providing, well, let me just put it this way, and I know Councilmember Nelson's going to talk a lot about this. We will do what makes sense to get people into treatment. We will do what makes sense to get people in treatment. One part of the program are low-dollar gift cards, as an example. But that is part of a philosophy to do the outreach and to develop the relationships such that people realize if they don't change their way, they will die. So during the overdoses that we see, and many of you have either seen it firsthand or you've read about it, we're going to be launching a pilot expansion of the Seattle Fire Department's Health One program to include an overdose response unit dedicated to swiftly engaging overdose survivors to increase acceptance of services or referrals. Now, I think what that may not have been crystal clear what we're trying to do, and I have Chief Scoggins here to help me describe it in better detail. But we realize that as sad as it is to see an overdose, they're happening, and they're happening at alarming numbers. So the question becomes, how do we work with those responders, not to arrest, but to rapidly give them the health, the life safety services quickly, and to be nimble to do that. And so we're looking at how we expand the program in Health One and get people the need that they help, the urgent need that they help. Yes. So part of that work includes expanding access to overdose reversal medications, brand name known as Narcan that many of you are familiar with, particularly in high overdose locations. We'll go further by increasing access to proven treatment and medication services to help break the hold of addiction. We know that this drug is cheap to produce, it's cheap to sell. It is so powerful that it overcomes the involuntary impulse to breathe. This is an unprecedented kind of drug that we're faced with. And so while we do our outreach and our upstream work during the overdose, we have to be nimble. And that's the part of the executive order that describes that. Now, on the back end of some of the work we're doing, we're going to be convening a meeting with our public health partners to establish a post-overdose diversion facility where people can be brought after non-fatal overdoses to recover. And we have to cite it, we have to fund it, we have to find a way to fund it, we have to work with funding partners. But particularly, we realize that we have a shortage of this kind of access to these types of facilities, and so that's what we need to explore. We're not just looking at the 1 month picture. We have to look at the 1 year picture and the 2 year pictures, and so we think that's going to be critical work that we do. Our executive order also takes additional actions beyond these. The last two I'll highlight are the formation, again, of this public health work group. Here we want to get everyone in a room. We have strong partners in the county. We have strong partners in the state. And as a city, I think we're showing what happens well when we're working collaboratively well. And so we look forward to having that actual work group with our partners. I want to thank Dr. Khan for being here. And that's going to be some great work where we can think outside the box. We can look around the country, look at best practices, and make sure that our machine is working best. And I'm excited about that work. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our law enforcement task force. How do we strategize better? How do we go after those that need to be held accountable? How do we do that knowing that this crosses several police-type jurisdictions? So these two bodies of work will help ensure we keep acting on this issue. Before I turn it over to Markham, I want to say this. I know people want immediate fixes. You've put up with a lot for the last several years in this city. We're seeing progress. But you have a dedicated ecosystem, not just the mayor's administration. I'm not going to call many of you out, but I know what organizations you lead. Everybody's in on this. And so when I talk about when we have our 1 day of service on May 20th, yeah, that's a shameless plug there. Our 1 day of service and date on May 20th, where we bring all hands together. We'll plant flowers, we'll abate some graffiti, we'll pick up litter. It goes beyond that. It's a recognition that we're all in this together. And so thank you for being here. I'm not going to call your organizations out, but they stem from people on the ground doing the work. They stem to culture and arts that's so vibrant. They include people who represent businesses, small, medium, and large, musicians, police, fire, neighborhood advocates. I'm actually dealt a pretty darn good hand to be in the city and be mayor of this great city. This week I'm going to be talking to many other mayors about what we're trying to do here. And having said that, our DAP plan, our Downtown Activation Plan, contains several nuggets that you'll see immediately. And with that, I'm going to introduce Markham McIntyre, Director of Office of Economic Development. Markham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Markham McIntyre. I'm the Director of the Office of Economic Development for the City of Seattle, and the Mayor is charged OED with developing the Downtown Activation Plan. And I'm really excited to be here today because we've been developing this plan for a while, and it's really fun to be able to come talk about, give you guys a preview of what's to come, but also some of the things that we're going to do right now. Downtown Seattle, it's the heart of our city. And at this critical moment, it's undergoing a metamorphosis, which gives us a unique opportunity to imagine who downtown is for and what downtown means for residents, workers, and visitors. Fundamentally, downtown runs on people, so our downtown activation plan is focused on how do we get more people downtown. As the mayor has said repeatedly, we are not the same city that we were in 2019, and that's okay. That actually gives us an opportunity to take actions that set us on a new course for the decades to come. So what you're going to hear today is the first phase of our plan. We recognize that, as the mayor is saying, this isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to be a quick fix, but we do want to display how we need to move with urgency, because the heart of the city isn't just our economic engine, but it pumps life, vitality, and energy into every neighborhood across the city, as well as draws us in to celebrate together what makes Seattle different, what makes us unique, and yes, what makes us cool. It really is core to our city identity. So as I mentioned earlier, our overall objective with this plan is to get more people downtown. To do that, we've set 7 goals. And for those of you who are more visual, we actually have them on a giant easel over there for you to check out. First is to create a downtown that is safe and welcoming for all to live, work, and visit. Second is transforming downtown into a thriving residential neighborhood for people from all walks of life. We actually have a record number of residents right now in downtown. Third is reestablish a vibrant and diversified worker ecosystem that delivers unique value for people working in downtown. Fourth is re-envisioning downtown as Seattle's hub for arts, culture, and entertainment. Fifth is reinvigorating downtown as the commercial heartbeat of our city. Sixth is committing to our ethos as the Emerald City by promoting a healthy, sustainable, and green city. And finally, seventh is making downtown a top destination for visitors from the Puget Sound region and beyond. Thank you. In developing these goals, we sought input and ideas from many viewpoints to understand who downtown is for and what inspires them about the possibility of a transformed downtown. We talked to lots of people and groups and organizations, many of whom are in the room. Thank you for showing up. We also surveyed residents of Seattle and surrounding areas to understand their hopes, dreams, their emotions, and concerns related to downtown. So a snapshot of what we heard is that safety is essential, and the actions the mayor just announced is a significant step towards rebuilding confidence and trust for Seattle area residents, workers, and visitors. In their own words, we hear from people of all backgrounds that safety and health is a topmost priority when thinking about the future of downtown. Our downtown, our neighbors and residents and visitors also want to experience more. They want more diverse small businesses. They want more affordable arts, culture, and entertainment experiences. And what we heard very loudly was that people want to bring their families downtown. They want more family-oriented activities. So overall, we heard that, yes, people have legitimate concerns about where downtown is now, but a majority are very excited about its future. So to meet those aspirations, we've been working in close concert with other city departments, as the success of this plan requires the city to take a One Seattle approach, where we develop ideas across departments and break down silos to make our city government more creative and more effective. I really want to thank all of the directors and their teams who have been investing so much time, energy, and effort into this planning effort, so thank you very much. We also recognize that this plan requires a partnership between the public, private, and philanthropic sectors. It's not just a government plan. We need buy-in from the whole city to make this work. So we've been working with select groups to develop these ideas and are excited to do more work in collaboration with different and diverse groups into the future. We also know that revitalizing downtown is a complex problem and that no single action will solve it. As the mayor said, it's not one thing and it's not necessarily going to happen quickly. It's going to be a collection of actions done over a continuum of time. So we have 3 elements to focus on. We've got our immediate bold actions that we'll be implementing now. We've got actions that we can take over the next 3 years, and then we've got transformative ideas for the future of downtown well into the future. So right now I'm going to walk you through some of the key immediate actions that we're going to be rolling out with details about some of those other elements coming in future weeks. The good news is we do have a lot to look forward to coming up in the summer. We've got the MLB All-Star Game coming, we have the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Conference, and many other events. So we really want to make sure that we take a lot of action now to put our best foot forward and really surf that wave of crowds coming into Seattle all through the summer. So first, as we've mentioned, it starts with addressing public health and safety through the mayor's executive order on synthetic drug use. But for the other buckets, for our near-term efforts, they're going to fall into 3 categories: filling vacant storefronts, cleaning and beautifying downtown, and activating public spaces. To fill our vacant storefronts, we've been running a successful program called Seattle Restored, which so far has activated 58 storefronts with artists and entrepreneurs, and we're excited to activate up to 20 storefronts over this summer. Again, thank you to Christina for hosting us. This is a lovely space, and this is part of the Seattle Restored. If you're looking for things to do, just go to seattlerestored.com and find all of those lovely activations. They're really fun to go see. To beautify and enhance the physical environment, we want to encourage the City Council to approve the 10-year extension of the MID program, which includes expanding the service area. And then we're also announcing that in addition to that, the City is going to make a one-time contribution to significantly expand MID cleaning services this year. However, we recognize that not all parts of the downtown activation zone, again, there's an easel with the full map if you're a visual learner, not all parts of the DAP zone are included in the MID, so we're also going to be funding new trash and litter removal as well as graffiti abatement and removal services focusing on Chinatown International District. We also know that lighting is a key part of people's experience, but also they're feeling safe, so we're going to focus on improving street and sidewalk lighting in areas in downtown, especially where crime and disorder are concentrated. I'm also very excited to be partnering with our arts departments, as they're going to be working with local artists to paint new murals through our Spatial Justice Through Street Art program, bringing more life and color downtown. I think that's going to be a fantastic addition. And then as the mayor mentioned, we're going to have the One Seattle Day of Service on May 20th, which is going to give every Seattleite the opportunity to participate in this whole city effort to improve downtown. There's going to be lots of projects that are going to be happening downtown, so if you haven't, I encourage you to sign up today. So as part of activating our public spaces, I'm excited to announce that we're going to be reopening City Hall Park on June 15th with new programming, safety, lighting enhancements, security, and activities designed to draw people into the park, including movie days, jumbo chessboard, concerts, food trucks, and more. So that's going to be really exciting. Additionally, we'll be enhancing public spaces by installing a network of kiosks, digital kiosks downtown with programming such as wayfinding to help pedestrians navigate their way around downtown. We're also going to be encouraging more frequent closings of downtown streets for special events, such as perhaps on-street pickleball tournaments, First Thursday art walks, street festivals, and music concerts. We're also going to be increasing opportunities for food truck operators and pop-up vendors to establish a presence downtown by waiving street use permit fees. We're also going to be requesting of the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board to issue sip and stroll permits, particularly for First Thursday art walks, so that patrons can carry a beverage from gallery to gallery as they walk. And finally, we're going to be extending our summer concert series down into the Sound Transit Tunnel with buskers and kind of improve some of the life down under the streets as well as on top of the streets. So that kind of covers what we're going to be doing for filling vacant storefronts, cleaning and beautifying downtown, and activating public spaces in addition to addressing public safety through the executive order. But as I mentioned, there is a continuum of actions here. We don't want just to focus on the near term. We really want to think midterm and long term. We really have this unique opportunity to transform downtown, make it more of a neighborhood with excellent amenities, to make it an arts, culture, and entertainment district, to make it an incubator for diverse small businesses and a unique social gathering space. So as we're still developing our bigger, longer-term ideas, I did want to give you just a couple examples of where we're going. Something that we're excited about is upzoning select blocks in the retail core for high-rise residential towers with significant incentives to include childcare and education facilities, primarily intended to create space for a future downtown public elementary or K-8 school, so really transforming downtown into a neighborhood. We'll also have legislation proposing zoning changes for industrial maritime lands to council to help stimulate the creation of 30,000 new family wage jobs and approximately 3,000 new housing units. This is also going to transform the stadium district and unlock additional hotel, entertainment, restaurant, and bar development, which is really exciting. So I recognize it's a long list of actions, and it's certainly emphasizing some of the immediate stuff that we're working on right now. But I want to come back to the overarching purpose of this plan. It's to bring people downtown. We believe that by addressing public safety, filling vacant storefronts, cleaning and beautifying, and then activating our public spaces, we can make downtown more welcoming and inviting right now. But this is not to say that we think that that's enough. We know that there is more to be done. We need to do more. We need to dream more. And so we're very excited to be announcing more of the plan to come. This is an important moment both for downtown's history, but also for its future. And with the Mayor's Downtown Activation Plan, we intend to bring new thinking, new coordination, new people to help downtown Seattle achieve its promise for now and for the future. Really at its core, the message I want to communicate is that none of this will happen if you aren't a part of it, because downtown is for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Markham. I'd like to reintroduce Councilmember Sara Nelson, who we look forward to her talking about in the executive order part, some of the contingency management planning we're talking about from a business standpoint. I mean, many of you know she is extremely experienced in small businesses, and we look forward to having that skill set on the council, always looking at it through the eyes of a small business. So I present to you Councilmember Sara Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor Harrell. Thank you, Markham. I'm Sara Nelson, and I'm a citywide council member, and I'm also chair of economic development. So I can tell you that these immediate action steps will directly benefit small businesses downtown, and you can count on my full support on their implementation and whatever else is to come. So I could talk about small businesses and making downtown more livable and prosperous and fun all day, but I am here to talk about the executive order, and I don't have that much time, so I'll just get to it. So yesterday, a story in the Times quoted a 27-year-old man who had been connected to housing but preferred living on 3rd Avenue as saying, my addiction leads me to just stay out here. And that's evidence of what we already know, that addiction is both cause and consequence of chronic homelessness. And meanwhile, more and more people are dying every day. So that's just a reality here. And so last year, I called on the executive to put forward a plan to broaden our approach to substance use disorder and also broaden the scope of the services, the treatment services that we have to offer. Because it was apparent to me that we have a moral obligation to step up our efforts and try something new. And this executive order speaks to that urgency. So like you said, it's a lot of little steps, it's a lot of small actions, but I want to focus on one aspect of this, and this is the contingency management pilot program. This program, this method is a proven method that rewards people for staying sober and who want to get on the path to recovery. So I'll say that again more articulately. Contingency management program rewards people who want to stay sober and get on a path to long-term recovery, no matter what their addiction. So it could be fentanyl, it could be anything, and that is what I think is innovative about this approach. So that is innovative, that's definitely new, and this is what I'm particularly interested in this executive order, among all the other things. So this is personal for me, because if I hadn't sought recovery through inpatient treatment, I would not be standing here right now. And I'm not playing. And what I want to say is that everybody deserves the same chance to get well. And so that's what we're talking about here. We have got to stabilize people and incentivize recovery and also expand services and remove barriers to rehab so that if people want to get and stay clean, they can. And so what I most want to say is this gives me hope, and thank you very much, Mayor Harrell and Executive Constantine, for this executive order.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. I always think it's very beautiful when a person pulls upon their life experiences to drive change. And I think we're going to hear from Jessica and Erika, and I think that's what they're doing. Their creativity in making Seattle vibrant in their store, The River, where again, one's a curator and the other one is looking at, again, their life experiences in showing it in products and services. So we're going to hear from Jessica and Erika. I don't know the order, but you both can come up and do your thing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is, it's a bit surreal as I'm standing up there realizing that days like this have directly impacted me. And it's really easy to be on the outside of it and not see that you guys are actually meeting and doing all of these things for small businesses like mine. So I just want to say thank you I want to say thank you to the mayor and the council team for giving an opportunity and creating space for women like us to be in this room and to be up here speaking. That's huge. And I'd also like to thank Christina Capelong again, a great friend of mine, a leader, and a fellow entrepreneur. My name is Erika Vazquez, owner and curator of Frida Vintage and a co-owner of River. Sorry, a little bit of... We're here today as grateful participants of the Seattle Restored program. River is an event venue available to rent for any purpose. Our tagline is that we're an event space with a crush on creatives, as we specifically want to platform local creatives. We're called River because we want to be a drop in the ripple effect of success for all of these artists. We've held night markets, concerts and shows, workshops and art shows, art activism, and puppy yoga shall be named. I personally believe Seattle is in the process of a rebirth, and it's up to us to cultivate the foundation on which it stands on moving forward. With this in mind, I'm often convicted to do what I can with what I have. And Seattle Restored has been key in equipping us to do just that. We've seen firsthand the impact that River has had on fellow small business owners and creatives, and will continue to put our all into it as long as this program is here. We are in the business of cultivating and creating a safe space for arts, culture, and entertainment, making these accessible to all. I believe it's important for us to think about how we can equip, train, and guide these business owners into success and revenue that will only help elevate our city. The Seattle Restore program is a gift. The question is now, how do we equip and support these business owners for the growth and success of our city?
Thank you again. I'll keep this short and sweet. My name is Jessica Ghyvoronsky, also co-owner of River. And I just wanted to share a couple of stories. You know, in 2020, I think all of us can remember just driving down the downtown corridor and everything was boarded up and nobody was here. It felt like a ghost town. It just didn't feel like our city that we had grown to love. And I remember that the city actually, I think, partnered with Sean Pike, who's also a partner with Seattle Restored, to hire artists to beautify these boarded up windows. And it seems like such a small act, but for me personally, and I hope many of you can relate to this, driving through downtown again and seeing the life come back through the expression of the arts and color was just, it gave me hope that we were going to get through this, and we're still here. And I also just wanted to, you know, tie that into now when you walk or drive downtown Seattle, you'll see Seattle Restored decals all over the windows, right? So they're activating empty storefronts and windows with art, with creative businesses, and it just feels like our city is coming alive again. This is the next step in all of that. And I'm a little nervous. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
So, similar to how after the Black Plague, the Renaissance was birthed, I, along with Erika, really believe that we're entering in another Renaissance era coming out of COVID. And creatives are always on the front lines of revolution and change. and they're bringing in new types of thinking, expression, ideas, and that is so crucial to society. And I'm so excited and proud to be a part of the City of Seattle and the Seattle Restored program, because the way the city partners with creatives is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I just want to commend and honor the city's equitable and inclusive efforts to bring opportunity and breakthrough to creatives in this city. They really have, held out their hand to us creatives, helped us find our footing, and are really just launching us off into the next level of our career. So, thank you.
Thank you, Erika and Jessica. Where I grew up, when people talk like that, someone says, "Can I get an amen?" That's what they do. So we're gonna open it up for a little Q&A. Jamie, I'm gonna ask that you help me navigate through any questions, and this will be a very appropriate time. Go ahead, Jamie.
Go ahead, Erika.
Thanks. Can you talk a little bit more about the OD diversion facility, sort of how it would work, and how people who refuse to go to the hospital would, why they would be more likely to want to go to this facility?
Yeah, and I'm going to ask both my chiefs to come up here because they may have a little more of a granular response. In fact, I may ask one of you to. Erika, do you mind repeating the question?
How will this diversion facility work, and how will it be, a better alternative for people who don't want to go to the hospital when they're relying and just ordinarily just walk away? What's going to get them there?
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief. So many of you are familiar with our Health One program, and they have been in service since 2019. And these firefighters and case managers do incredible work in building relationships. And really, that's what this is all about. So what we're going to be adding on the street is when a person has an overdose, generally 911 is called. And what's going to happen now is Health One is also going to respond to that overdose. But Health One comes with case managers and firefighters who are trained differently to actually talk to folks and really explain the resources that are available to them. So when the fire units leave, the police units leave, Health One will still be on the scene. And they're going to offer up all the resources. So not just the day of, they're going to check in the day after, just like we do case management for people in crisis, for people who are homeless, and so many other things. So our goal is to offer the resources and get them to where they need to be. And our firefighters can be pretty persistent in getting people where they need to be.
Will this be staffed by social service workers, organizations outside the city?
I'll take that. Okay. So, and I think, just to be clear, so those following the issue, I said in my prepared remarks that we're going to explore funding for, and work with public health partners to establish a post-overdose diversion facility where people can be brought after non-fatal overdoses to recover and get stabilized with medications and access resources. So, full disclosure, how it's staffed, how we fund it, that's the work we're trying to do now. Because in looking at the numbers of fatalities and overdoses, we realize that's sort of a gap in the treatment scenario. So that's the work where, and I can't answer specifically on how specifically it would be staffed, but it's a good question, so thank you.
Sarah Grace?
You mentioned in your plan expanding Health One, also expanding the master. Where is funding coming for that, especially in the overstaffed or overburdened fire department?
Yeah. So, you want to take it again, Chief? Sure.
So many of you know we have 3 Health One units on the street right now, and we have been working hard over the last year to get our staffing to where it needs to be. So our existing Health One units are going to take on this work, and this is going to be another thing that they can provide. So we're used to that. We're out in the streets every day. We're out in the field every day. So it's no additional funding while we run the pilot. We want to get 3 to 6 months worth of information. Then we'll be able to bring that back to the mayor.
And on the, I'm sorry, sir. I was going to ask Markham to respond to the mid-funding component of your question.
Sure. So there's a renewal for the Metropolitan Improvement District that's at council right now that would be for the 10 years. And then for the short term, we're looking at reallocating some of the federal recovery funds for the one-time investment into expanding cleaning services.
Thank you.
Ashley, unless you had something.
No.
Ashley and then Tobias.
We talked about
So what I'm hearing in your question is safe consumption sites, and so react to that. So first of all, we continue to look at where it's working and where it's not. And I think we looked at San Francisco where I don't think it was working nearly as optimal as they were hoping it would. And so working again with our health partners, we just continue to explore it. I've been on record for supporting it. That I think that one means to treat people or to get them, number one, in an area where we could converse and have conversations and have it somewhat centralized, but make sure that if there's safety to occur in this kind of activity, that we could help them with that. Not so much so that we're enabling it, but we're treating. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know if all the data is in on whether safe consumption sites work or not. And so that's not part of our plan right now. We're keeping the lines open, so to speak. We're looking at what the state and what the county will do in this regard as well. And that's part of our discussion. So it's not part of our current plan, but we have not excluded it out as a possibility. And I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to safe consumption sites, but I continue to be intrigued by the concept. But again, and I'm not asking you because I'm here for you to ask me questions, but I ask people all the time, where is it working effectively? Is it an effective strategy? And if it's an effective strategy and we see proven outcomes, we will do it here. I will push for it. And again, our health partners are studying it probably more feverishly than we are as well, knowing that they're sort of experts in that. And Dr. Cunningham, if you have something to add, I'd be more than willing to listen, but it's not part of our current plan right now. Okay, get a little closer.
Yeah, you talk about it working, but it's not like sip and stroll is helping combat alcoholism. It's just sort of like this is a location we'd like to set aside for people to be allowed to drink. This is a location we'd like to set aside for someone to be allowed to use fentanyl. And kind of can you square why one substance is something we're encouraging the use of and the other one?
So I'll talk about the sip and stroll. That seems to be the crux of the question. That is not designed to encourage alcoholism or to encourage someone to drink. It's a means to activate. And we realize that if we're activating streets, closing streets down, we're bringing in culture and arts and music, that it may be impractical for this person who just has that perfect drink in their hand and then wants to go see their buddies next door to have to pour it out or gulp it down and walk. And so we think that this could be a means that, quite frankly, other cities have tried. And it's not I know this person right here is cringing on what I'm about to say when I start riffing answers like this. But we think it's, Markham used the word cool. We think it could be a cool part of Seattle within reason, within regulation, within common sense. And so, and quite frankly, these kinds of ideas, they're coming from business owners and people that go downtown and saying what they'd like to make it more active. And so, you know, I suppose someone could translate it that we're encouraging alcohol use. Well, we're encouraging vibrancy and activism within reason. So that's just my reaction. So, Jonathan.
Mayor, oh, I'm sorry. This is for Chief and Mayor.
Yep.
Many of the fentanyl that my reporting are also small-time distributors, often support their own habit.
I'm sorry, Joe, could you start?
Many of the fentanyl users I've encountered in my reporting are also small-time distributors of the substance, often support their own habit. How do you plan to navigate that distinction? We have some both evasive and perhaps.
That's a great question.
We've actually been doing a lot of operations that are. Oh,
Can
sorry.
you repeat the question?
Yes.
So
So the question is that in his encounters, a lot of the current people that are distributing small-time distribution are current users and just really just trying to maintain their habit. What we've actually been focusing on is large-scale distributors. We've been focusing on the cartel. So we've been working closely with the federal partners in actually identifying those people. We've recovered almost close to, over the last 3 years, almost 4 million pills, which is obviously enough to kill this entire city. But not only we actually just recovered 62 pounds of methamphetamines. And so it's not just fentanyl that is actually hitting our communities. it is other drugs that are still also being a big product of that. And that's what we're focused on, is the big-time dealers that are bringing in this distribution, trying to prey and harm on our community. We're hoping that we can actually shore up with the state legislation the Blake decision, and that'll allow us to really be able to figure out how do we get people into treatment to reduce demand. And that'll also be another component of this level of enforcement, but also education strategy as well.
Where's the line? Where's it?
You know, I don't know if there is a full line. I think that we find that big distributors will come in and target, you know, some of the smaller people, but we do recover some of the, you know, the dealers at the local, you know, street level. But most of the times that we're actually recovering large scales of narcotics have been working with our federal partners, and that's really where we're putting a lot of investment is working with our federal partners, doing a variety of different investigational skills to be able to recover large amounts of dope.
Mayor, the city and county spends more than $1 million a year on harm reduction supplies, giving away needles, meth pipes, rubber bands, so on and so forth, yet we've seen a record number of drug overdose deaths. Do you believe this strategy needs to be reassessed, and also how will harm reduction as is be part of your new treatment program?
I guess I'll respond to the question by saying when we provide services or give products, our intent is always to make sure that we save lives, that our North Star is saving lives, realizing that people are using drugs are basically killing themselves. And rather than sit idly by while we lose precious lives, we will try to make it safer. And therein lies the ability to do outreach, to try to get people to change their lives, to get them to the expert providers. And so, again, the numbers, I think, and again, I want to bring recent attention to some of the articles that are coming out in the media today. They're seeing the amount of drugs that are being poured into our communities. And so we will continue a multifaceted strategy. As I said, we will lead with safety, we will lead with equity, realizing again that this disproportionately affects people of color, particularly in the African American community and Native American communities and other communities. We're trying to make it safe. And I know we subject ourselves to criticism by saying we could be enabling the problem. I'll take that criticism. It means saving someone's life.
I just wanted to give you some backup a little bit about the about some of the questions around enforcement of distribution laws, et cetera, and just say that you started your speech saying that we aren't going to be embarrassed, I'm paraphrasing, but we're not going to be embarrassed to recognize that fentanyl is killing people. And there is a law enforcement component to this. So it's not necessarily, we don't have to really define what is small, what is large, but this is showing some new resolve, and I think that is important. And I can't resist, but there was some struggle around, I think that there's a false equivalency between the sip and stroll idea, which is great for small businesses and for downtown spaces, and consumption sites for illegal drugs. And so one is illegal, one is not. And so I do think, I just wanted to provide some just some thoughts coming from my perspective on the ways in which the mayor's plan is different, because we have to meet people where they're at, and we can't give up on them. And so that means we have to be bold.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. Doug and AJ.
That 30,000 units that Markham mentioned of housing, in addition to 30,000 jobs, and follow that,
Sure. Mark?
So there are two things we were talking about there. One was upzoning in the retail core, which we're still developing, and that would include some incentives around childcare and educational facilities. And then separate to that, there's zoning around the industrial and maritime lands, and it was hoping to stimulate creation of 30,000 family wage jobs and then 3,000 units of housing within that parcel. And then that directly applies to the DAP zone with what it does to the stadium district, unlocking potential development for entertainment, hotel, restaurant, bars type stuff. We also, I think, have a fact sheet that I think has some more of those details if you're looking for them.
And AJ?
So I'm sorry if it's super obvious. It is. Apologies, but what I'm hearing you guys say is the big problem with downtown, Third, those areas, is safety concerns, and that comes from crime, drug-related, and the problems with addictions, overdoses. And the plan to address that is to arrest drug dealers and then to provide voluntary treatment services to people. Maybe like get them with like gift cards. Is that pretty much what you guys are saying?
No.
No, okay. Because that's all I'm hearing. To address crime, you're going to arrest.
So I'd encourage you to watch Channel 21, and then you'll catch 90% of what we said. You caught like 10% of it, and that was incorrect or inaccurate. So I could, in fact, let's just start it all over again, because I'll just, that simplifies it in a distorted way. So,
what's different than that?
Yeah.
Voluntary services. That sounds like the same stuff, right?
Again, that's not what we said. It might be what you heard through how you're listening to it. So let me respond to your question. And I don't even take it, I'm not defensive to the question.
Okay.
Don't confuse the order with which we describe things in its priority. I use the word calibration. That under our administration, we realized, and I said as an example, that when I read about people dying with drugs, I know these families. Okay? So most of our strategies are around prevention, treatment, and making sure people are safe. That is all embedded in our fentanyl executive order to make sure that I'm coordinating with our county and our state partners and looking at federal resources, coming up with best practices, looking at anything that works to get people in treatment. And quite frankly, I think there's an intensity in our efforts that's unprecedented. But I'm not going to mince words by saying, if you look at the data of drugs pouring into our community and how it is going about it, that as the mayor, I will hold a task force to look at how we do enforce the existing laws. That is an enforcement strategy. And that's the calibration that I'm talking about. And I know there are people in this room that, quite frankly, when they see the amount of drugs, the math involved of the number of drugs being taken, when we're talking about products that are now $3 or $4 to purchase with a high that may last 20 or 30 minutes, that is so addicting, like I said, that it overcomes the involuntary impulse to breathe. That people that are bringing that into our community, that everyone in here, I believe, loves, that we have to enforce the laws. That's the other calibration. Now, downtown Seattle, even with people healing and effective and constitutional enforcement strategies, and side note that some of the filings that we recently have done in Seattle indicates that our use of force is less than 1% on how we go about making our arrests. Now, I meet with police officers, and I'm very proud of the work that they are doing to make sure that when we make arrests, we're doing it lawfully and constitutionally. That's another strategy. But in addition to that, we have the creative community, and I love the notion that this is a time coming into 2023 and 24 when let the creative juices help build the Seattle that we want to be. And we have voices that often have been unheard. And our set is a big part of activation. We want it to be fun for people to go downtown. exciting. We want to give new opportunities and new voices. Maybe you didn't hear that, but when we talk about BIPOC communities as one example, we talk about small businesses, we talk about the creative culture, I talked about music and arts. That's to make a place in downtown Seattle, an economic journey, a place to go. So maybe you could simplify it in how you did, and I hear you, but the program on a granular level, when Markham talked about zoning laws and upzoning, and I talk about bringing in community-based organizations, it all fits together. So to simplify it in one or two sentences, it sort of does that. It simplifies it, and I think it misses the point. So I think you guys you all understand the vision, and I hope you better understand the vision. You don't. You're still shaking your head? Okay, well then you're the only one in here in this room probably that doesn't understand it, because I saw a lot of heads nodding. So, but I'll be more than happy to meet with you offline over coffee. If you want to talk more, I'd be more than happy to talk. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Okay, One Seattle, you're helping me build it. Thank you very much.